So good morning and welcome to the Do One Thing Bootcamp. Thanks very much for joining me this morning. I'm Ailsa from B is for Brand, and if we've not met before, I am the leader of the Do One Thing membership, and I'm really delighted that you have joined. So this morning we are going to go through the first term of Do One Thing week by week. There are 8 weeks, and I'm just going to summarize the key learning points from each week so that you can start to think about those themes, or if you've been doing the program and you have missed something and you think, oh, that's pretty crucial to my business, I'm going to need to do that, you know where to head to, and you have you can ask questions and get a little bit of a clearer idea about what it is that you need to put on your worksheets. So I have made some slides. I'm not famous for doing slides, but I have actually made some slides. So I'm going to test if that works. Probably should have done that in advance, shouldn't I? So anyway, I'm just going to see whether I can share my screen with you. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yep.
Ah, amazing. The wonders of modern technology. So if you've fallen behind or if you're just joining the program, this is your way to catch up. Okay. So now I don't know how to move. Excuse me. We're like, aha, there we go. Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to begin at the very, very beginning. And for those of you who were with me before, you'll be like, oh, here she goes again, going on and on and on. But you do know that I love some repetition. So at the very most basic level, a brand is just what stays in other people's minds about your business. And why we're doing all of this stuff, this creating a strategy, thinking about your image, thinking about the experience, is because we want to be in control of what stays in other people's minds. Yeah. So in order to be in control of what stays in other people's minds, we have to know what that is that we want to be in other people's minds. And at the end of the day, your brand isn't all the many, many things that you're putting out there in the world. Your brand is actually just what other people see and think about when they think of your business. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so and then the other kind of really key thing that you do need to know if you're looking after a brand is that there are 3 elements to a brand. And this is the kind of boxes that you need to have in your brain when you're thinking about your business. You go, okay, strategy, image, or experience. Which one am I thinking about right now? Some things straddle all 3, but all things that relate to your brand can be put into one or more of those boxes. And your strategy drives your image and your experience. So having a strategy is pretty crucial to making sure that everything else aligns. That's why I go on and on and on and on about brand strategy. Okay, and the why behind that is that really thinking about your brand and using it is such a great tool for your business. It's going to help you survive tough times, and it looks pretty much like we're heading towards tough times right at this moment. So this is a great time to be thinking about your brand, investing in your brand, and really getting organized about how you control your brand. Oh, we've just got someone joining us. I'm just letting them in. There we go, getting slightly distracted. So what you can use your brand to do is, first of all, to show up and be really present in people's lives. They may or may not be in a position to engage with you, work with you, and buy your services or visit your premises at this moment in time, but they know that you're there. Not only do they know that you're there for when they need you, but they know that you're there so that they can tell other people that you're there as well. Because if you think about it, we actually talk about more businesses than we use ourselves on a daily basis. And we're constantly having conversations with our family, with our friends, about businesses that we've seen, whether or not we're actually customers of them. Yeah. So when those conversations are happening, what you want is to control what's said about your business in that conversation. You want your messages to be passed on by word of mouth. I don't know if you've ever played Chinese whispers when you were a kid. Remember that from all the kiddies parties. Helen, you probably still play Chinese whispers with your kids. But it's not that easy to get a message from A to B without it being corrupted. So we have to keep everything super, super simple. We have to repeat the same message again and again and again, so that our message, the one we want, stays in other people's minds about our business. Okay. The repetition also helps us to be top of mind. So we need to get our brand out there everywhere where our potential customers are, so that when they need a business like ours, it's our business that they think of. That's the game that we're playing here. We're just going to be there all the time in their space, getting our message out, connecting with them, showing them that we have a solution to the problem that they might have, so that when the moment comes that they're ready to engage with a business like ours, it's us that they come to. That is called winning at branding when that happens. Okay. And then the other really great thing that you can use your brand to do is to create customer loyalty. So once you've won some of those precious customers and you want to keep them, this is where your brand can really help you. So you can, if you have a strategy, you can really think about how you can align what you do for your customer around that strategy and create a fantastic experience for the customer, and also for any staff that work with you as well. Staff are as much an important audience for your brand as your customers are. So those are kind of the key things that I want you to take away from that. Okay. So a question I get asked a lot is, how do you use your brand to grow your business? You know, I like to keep things simple and memorable and easy to digest. So I came up with this 4 C's model. This is my very own model. You won't see this anywhere else. And I think that the 4 key things that lie at the heart of being able to use your brand to grow your business are these. Clarity. Clarity is the most important thing. You must be clear on what your brand is, what you want to say about your business, and you must be clear on who you want to get that message to, who are your customers. So a lot of time in Do One Thing is spent thinking about those 2 things. What is your brand? What do you want to say about it? And who do you want to say it to? So pretty much the whole of the first term was leading to a conclusion to those questions. So what I want you to do today in this bootcamp is think about that. Have I answered those key things? Do I have brand clarity? Have I achieved the very most basic ABCs of branding, achieve brand clarity? Am I clear? Am I clear on what my brand is, what I want to say about my business, and who I want to say it to? Okay, so then the second C in using your brand to grow your business is consistency. Once you've clarified those 3 elements, you now need to be very, very consistent in getting your message out there. One of the biggest mistakes that I see businesses making, and I mean, I'm talking about some really big businesses here, not just sole traders and small businesses, is to put far too much information out into the world so that people can never quite grasp onto what it is that you're trying to say. They keep putting new things out all of the time, so nothing sticks. Yeah. And I guess you do need to put new things out when you've got a new event happening, or a new service launching, or a new product, or a new offer. Yes, you need to communicate those things, but also you need to be communicating about your brand and the key messages so that they remember the why. Why is it that they want to do business with you? Why should they do business with you? Why are you relevant to their life? If you're not communicating that, they will forget, and they'll start looking at other businesses like yours for the solution to the problem that they have. So in the example of Buyers Farm, who's with us this morning, it might be that they're looking to entertain the children and have a family bonding experience. But there are other ways other than Buyers Farm than going to find a family bonding experience. So you need to be, that may or may not be your thing, but you need to be constantly, focusing in on the thing that you can offer that will emotionally connect with people, and talking about the fact that your experience offers that for the customer. Okay. So consistency, repeat, repeat, repeat. I may have told you this before, but I do love to repeat myself. About the time when you're massively, massively bored of talking about the same thing, that's around the same time when other people start to notice that you're even saying anything at all. So bore yourself, get ready to bore yourself when you're a brand owner, because it's good for business. It helps people to understand what you do, and they are not constantly looking at your brand all the time. Most of the time they're not noticing you, they're not remembering what you're saying. So just keep at it, just keep repeating. And this is actually brilliant news, because it saves you heaps and heaps of time and effort, because you don't have to keep creating new content all the time. You can repurpose, you can repost, you can cut things up, you can use them in different places, you can use the same content again and again and again. And you can also do that on an annual basis. You don't need to have new content every single year. You can keep repeating things that you repeated last year. You should look at what works well and do more of that, and chop out the things that didn't work so well. But other than that, there's tons and tons of things you can keep using again. We're going to think about that a bit more as the membership goes on. Okay, so consistency. Then creativity is a really, really important one. So if we want to attract people's attention, we need to do that in a unique way, in a way that's different to how other people in our sector are doing it. So this is the bit to have a lot of fun with, really, and think, how can I be creative? How do you come up with those creative ideas? Well, guess what? Your brand strategy can help you. If you've got a brand strategy and it defines, we're going to talk about the key elements of the strategy, but particularly the personality and the values, they will help you to come up with creative ideas. When you think about that personality, you can put that hat on and go, if I'm this personality, what would I do? Yeah, and have lots of fun with the creative side of things. And then the final C is control. So it's really important as your business grows that you have written things down. I do go on about that a lot, don't I, guys? Write it down, because it will save you a lot of stress. It'll not only help you remember what it is you're trying to be consistent about, but as you grow and you have other people helping you, whether you're outsourcing to designers and other suppliers, or whether you're taking staff on board, you can then quickly and easily get them onto the same page as you if you have control mechanisms in place. So brand guidelines is a key, and in term 2 we're going to start thinking about your brand guidelines, but brand strategy and having your key messages written down is another key way that you can create control. And then another thing you can do is have brand guardians within your business. I haven't really talked about that at all yet, because I'm talking mainly to sole traders and small business owners, and you guys are the brand guardians. But if your business grows, you might not always be the brand guardian. So as your business goes, think about who you might want to appoint as your brand guardian. Okay, so that is how you control your brand. Has anybody got any questions so far? And I'm partly asking that just so I can have a little sip of my cup of tea. So please ask a question, someone. You can unmute, by the way, guys.
No, but the point that you had, Ailsa, about repeating and repeating and repeating until you're bored, the last 2 weeks pushing our autumn adventure day, I wouldn't have pushed it as much had I not had that conversation, and it totally paid off. And the last few days, loads of people bought tickets, but great. I did feel like a stuck record. But I thought that's what I meant to sound like. I'm bored, people are starting to listen, and it worked.
Brilliant, brilliant. You need to have that in your head. You need to be saying to yourself, yeah, so this is okay, this means it's working. When I start to feel really cringy about saying this again, it's probably starting to work. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So did you have a good attendance?
It was. We probably had just under 400 people over the 2 days.
Magic.
It was good.
Fantastic.
It was really nice.
Yeah, yeah. I shared it a few places at the last minute, and just people, yourselves, you book these things at the very last minute, don't you?
Yeah. And when there's people like from Aviemore and Aberdeen and Inverness and Dingwall, and they'd see it on Facebook, and that's why they were there. So it does work.
Amazing. Fantastic.
And then sometimes people are waiting to see what else is happening, or weather forecast, so they might not be able to plan, too far in advance. And it's just catching them in the right moment, isn't it? Because as you say, it might just caught their eye that day, but not come up in their feed, you know, another time.
That's right. Catherine, have you got any questions about the first bit?
No, it's all clear. Thank you.
Clear. Good. Clarity. Yay. That's what we want. Okay. Right. So can you guys still see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't trust the technology. My lighting's really terrible. Oh, I should have put my ring light there. But anyway, never mind. Don't worry about that. Okay, so the first term was all about getting organized, okay? Getting your thoughts organized, getting your paperwork organized so that you're ready to control your brand. And I think potentially could feel a bit frustrating when you join the program and you think, oh my God, I want to do stuff. I want to get stuff out there. Yeah, so I did try to build in some activities as we went along, but it takes a while to develop your brand strategy. It's not something that you can do overnight. And you're probably not finished now either, because thoughts will come to you as the business develops. And I would say, you know, I'm still tweaking around a little bit. This year, I've been tweaking around at the early part of the year with my brand strategy and thinking about the wording. That's okay. You know, once you've got something written down, you've got a basis for moving forward, and then you can tweak that as you see fit. I mean, don't reinvent the wheel, don't completely change personality. You know, the major things need to be right, but the exact wording will come eventually. Yeah. Okay, so don't worry too much about that. Don't let that be the thing that's standing in your way. Okay, so this is the process that we're going to go through the whole 12 months of the membership. In term one, we're just figuring it out. We're trying to make sure that you've got a solid strategy. So term two, which starts next week, Monday the 7th, we are going to think about your business, getting your clear message out there. We've got that sorted, but now we're going to think about, how do you look? How's it looking in your business? Yeah. Does the image that your business have reflect that strategy that you've now thought about and put in place? Yeah. So most of the activities we do are going to be around image in term two. And image is quite a wide subject area, and it's actually the area that people first think of when they think of brand. They think about logos. Helen's got a lovely logo behind her there. Very good. Yeah, there we go. Great advert. And so it's the area people often think about, but your image, even your image, is way, way, way more than your logo. So we're going to dive into all the little bits of image and think about, are you being clear? Are you being consistent? Is the message coming across? Is the personality shining through? All that kind of thing. Okay. And then once we've done all that in term two is going to be 12 weeks, by the way. So we'll have 7 weeks up to Christmas, and then we'll have 5 weeks after Christmas as well, where we're still thinking about image because it's a really big topic. And then we'll have another break after that 5 weeks, and we'll have a half term. And then in term three, we're going to move on to think about, what does it feel like when we interact with your business? And are we managing to create a branded experience for our customers and for our staff? And then once you've done all that, you guys are pretty much brand experts at that stage. And you've probably done about 80% more than most companies ever do, even big ones. And we're going to start doing some really serious implementation of your brand and looking at all the different ways that you can get to that dream client and repeat your message to them. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Okay. Now, I gave you a tip. I've given it you again and again, and I've actually become a bit of a nag on this subject, but I'm going to keep repeating it. There's one really important thing that you need to do to win at branding, and that is to find time to work on your business, not just in your business. And that is the top tip from all of the successful entrepreneurs. They all say that the thing that made their business successful was the fact that they made time every week, if not every day, to work on the business. And that is where the whole idea from Do One Thing came from, because that is a trick that you too, as a small business owner, can learn and use to grow your business. It's not easy. We're not necessarily good at habits. I don't know about you, but I've got a love-hate relationship with habits. I know they're good for me. I know they're good for my life, but I don't enjoy getting into a new habit at all. I find it really, really difficult. I psychologically fight against habits. Anyone else feel like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but anyway, it is the way to win. So it is what I want you to do in terms of brand as well, is just find that regular slot where you can sit down and know that that is the time when you're working on your business, thinking about your business, doing things that will build your brand and grow your business. Okay, so that's my top tip. Okay, so in the first term, we had 8 weeks, and I'm just going to quickly run through for the benefit of anyone who hasn't opened a single email. That's okay. That's why we're having a boot camp. So let's just run through what you might have discovered if you had been able to find the time to open those emails. In week 1, we were thinking about what mountain you're attempting to climb. Yeah. So basically, what's the massive goal that you want to achieve? Thinking about that in a huge way, a big goal, so that you can know which direction you want to point in, have the right equipment, and all those kind of cliches. You know, I love a cliche. There are tons of them littered all through your Do One Thing correspondence. Okay, and then in week 2, once we had an idea of what the mountain looked like, so the mountain is the big goal, like 20 or 30 years from now. Then we start thinking on a bit more of an achievable level what the brand goals are, things that we can actually categorize and break down into tasks and priorities. And then in week 3, we really focused on building your brand strategy. And I will go into that in a lot more detail today for anyone who hasn't quite nailed that yet. Once you have a strategy in place, you need to think about the kinds of problems that you solve. So one of the big mistakes that people, organizations tend to make is that they talk about themselves too much. So in week 4, we thought all about how to turn that on its head and talk about the customer and the problem that you solve for them. And we'll go into more detail on that in a minute. And then once we know that, we start working out what your priorities are, your action priorities for your business. What are the things you need to do? If you're going to do one thing, what is it? What is that one thing? That's what week 5 was spent doing. Then in week 6, we went back to brand. So we're alternating between some brand building activities and some action-based activities, because some people already had the brand strategy before they even joined Do One Thing. So we need some stuff in there that helps them progress during the first 8 weeks as well. So in week 6, we were thinking about tone of voice. Once you've got your strategy in place, you know what your personality is, and the personality guides the tone of voice. So we put your brand hat on when you're writing. You think, if I'm this kind of character, what would I speak like? What are the words and phrases that I would use? And oftentimes that's going to be very close to you yourself if you're a small business or a sole trader. But it's about knowing what your adjectives are, knowing what words and phrases are your words and phrases and repeating them, and getting something on paper that you can refer to so that you don't start with a blank piece of paper when you do your writing. Okay. Then week 7, we did some writing. And I think by now everyone was flagging, and I would be very surprised if anyone actually wrote some key messages in week 7. Susan, do you get a gold star or? You're on
Nothing more than what we've done before.
What we've done before, yeah. Okay. Helen, have you done that?
No, I've got to week 6.
Okay, yeah, so you're ready to write your messages. What about you, Catherine?
No, you know that I've not got very far, but I am trying to work on time management and actually make some time to do all this.
That is the one thing. If you just do that, it doesn't matter what you do with that time. It doesn't matter whether you're doing the Do One Thing things or not. It's the fact that you do something to grow your business. Yeah, that is the top tip. If you only learn that from Do One Thing, it will make you more than the 240 quid for your business if you make time. You know, that's the value right there. It's just getting into that habit. So yeah. So that's the thing you need to work on first. So once you've got that, your business is going to grow, no matter what you're doing with that time. If you're thinking about your business, doing little things to move your business forward, once you are committing time every day or every week to grow your business will start to grow. So, okay. And then this week, what we were doing was getting the message out there. And I gave you an elevator pitch script so that you could write your elevator pitch. I saw 1 or 2 in the Facebook group. I'm waiting for some more coming next week when everyone catches up. Okay, great. So questions, now we're going to go through week by week. Yeah. Any questions before we do that?
No.
Okay, great. So we were defining the mountain that you wanted to climb in the first week. Did you all manage to do that? Think about the big goal. Yeah, okay. So what is that big goal, just for the benefit of people who are watching this on replay? It's 30 years from now. Okay, this is something that most businesses fail to do, is they often have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, even a 10-year plan, but actually you need to know what the end result looks like for your business. When you're retired, lying on a sun lounger on Necker Island because you bought it from Richard Branson and he's in some nursing home somewhere, what does that look like for your business? How does your business look when you have been the most successful that you can possibly be? And you have to get into massive success mindset with this, because I want you to describe a dream beyond your wildest dreams. Everything went perfectly. Everything you imagined went 100% perfectly. Every door opened, every person that you asked to help you helped you, every idea that you had worked out. That's the vision that we want. And it does not matter whether you actually get there or not. What matters is that you're aiming for it, because it's the aiming in that direction that will take you in that direction. And it's the having a really seemingly unachievable goal that will keep you going when you've already had some success, because, you know, hopefully you do these activities, you will have success along the way. But then what happens is we get a bit complacent and we stop striving. So if you create a really big goal, you will keep going because you'll not be done. You'll not be done for at least 20 to 30 years. Okay, so that is something I want you to write down. That is the first thing on your brand strategy. So I've talked a lot about strategy, image, experience, and your strategy drives everything. Heading number 1 is writing down. Sorry, heading number 1 is not the big goal. Heading number 1 is the why, but heading number 2 is the big goal. Heading number 1 is actually the why. Start with why. So why do you get out of bed in the morning to work in this business? Beyond making money, what is the change that you want to make in the world, really? What's the transformation that the customer will feel if they engage with your business? And why does that motivate you? And this is for a cold February morning. Yeah, when it's sleeting outside and it's dark and you've got to get up and you've got to do a day's work. How are you motivating yourself to do that? And not just you, but in the future, or right now, maybe anyone that works for you, what is it that you can say in your why that will make people feel like, I have to be there because I have to do it for this reason? These people depend on me to make this transformation in their life. Okay. Then we talked in week 1 about, well, there might be some challenges to all of that. It doesn't sound that straightforward. So what are the things that are getting in your way? Yeah, what are the things that are preventing you from being as successful as you'd like with your branding, with your business? What are the barriers? What are the things that just seem to trip you up every time? And by writing those things down, we can start to see that, you know, actually they're not that scary. And also by sharing in the group, we can realize that we all have the same issues. We all have the same 24 hours in the day, right? Yeah. And we all have families, and I mean that includes all the multimillionaires, billionaires, hugely successful social enterprises, hugely successful charities, hugely busy people have the same 24 hours as people who never achieve anything at all with their life. It just depends how we choose to prioritize, how we choose to use it, and how we choose to face our challenges. So we start by knowing our challenges. Just 1 second, guys. I am just going to, just bear with me for 1 second.
That's just creepy. She just walked into
You just
herself.
walked into yourself.
Sorry, that was really creepy, wasn't it? I
Yeah,
left
you
with
were
my
like
twin
a small
sister.
version in the middle of you, and then you came back.
Left you with my twin sister. Yeah, I just went to yeah, you may be aware we have a new puppy in the house. There was a little puppy incident going on behind me. So just dealt with that. No, he's found a squeaky toy. And I was thinking that you were going to be hearing squeaking all through the next hour. Yeah, okay. So so that's why we write down our challenges, really, to face them and confront them and, you know, realize that they're not that scary after all. And then in the first week, we also wrote a letter to ourselves. So on your brand strategy document, you have your reason to get out of bed in the morning, which is why, then the big goal, and then another box is called vision statement. But I find that people get a bit confused with vision and mission and all that kind of stuff. So I don't use the word mission at all, actually. I talk about your vision statement. And that's a very practical thing, and it just describes the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. And realistically, what do you think you want to happen? What is achievable? Assuming things go well, what's achievable in the next 5 years? But it's quite hard to write that, and we tend to lack emotion when we write about these things, and we tend to write about financial goals and products and services we want to deliver, and we forget to be motivational. A really great, sorry, I'm just going to turn my phone off because it keeps pinging very unprofessionally. A really great thing, a really great statement about a vision statement is that it should make you, a good vision statement will make you feel goosebumps when you read it. You'll read it, you'll feel a little bit scared about what you describe for yourself. And you will feel like you're not really sure if you can achieve it, but you really, really want to. It makes you feel like, oh, wow, that'd be amazing if I could do that. Okay, so that's why I like you to write a letter to yourself, because you can be a bit more emotional. Yeah, you can write a bit more about your hopes and dreams in a letter. And that is really what a vision is, your hopes and dreams for the business. So if you haven't done it, write the letter to yourself, because it will be a really great guide for the next few years. Do write about the practical things in there, because we're going to turn that into an action plan. But also remember that I want you to think in positive mindset when you're writing that letter. So again, it might not be all achievable within 5 years. Be fairly realistic. But 5 years is quite a long time. There's a lot you can do over 5 years. So what will it look like in 2028 in your business if things go well for you? Okay. And then we can break that down into what you do this year, next year, and the following 3 years. Okay. So that's the letter to yourself. And it shouldn't take you too long. I think I did mine 20 minutes with a cup of coffee. Yes, Susan, or no, somebody had a question.
It was me. I've written a letter to myself. So how do I take that to stick it into the brand strategy vision statement box?
It goes in the vision statement. So you have a long and a short vision statement. It's a really great question that I didn't answer in the email, Susan. So thank you for asking that one. So when I would run this as a workshop in a business, what we would do is you'd write that long one, which is the letter, and then take a highlighter pen. Yeah. So what you need to do is with your letter, you probably typed it because I gave you a template to type it into, but just highlight the key sentences within it. So you probably need about 10 sentences total that describe the next 5 years. What are the absolute key things that will hang together as a set of maybe 10 points? Yeah. So not the whole letter, but what are the key things that you're going, and this happened, and then this happened, and then, you know, and it felt like this. That's what you put in the vision statement box in your brand strategy. So not the 2-page letter, but just the key highlights from it. Yeah. Yeah. And then you might just need to recraft that a little bit as a statement. Yeah. But you can say our vision for Buyers Farm is that by 2023, we will be, you know, up and running with this new service. By 2024, we'll have employed this many people, and we'll have a great team spirit going on, and we'll have our brand ambassador program up and running, or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just take the key things and précis it, and then start writing about it futuristically. Yeah, so the letter to yourself exercises is to help you think about it, but when you turn that into a vision statement, you go, it hasn't happened yet, this is what we're aiming to achieve.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Perfect.
And then that short version becomes really useful for award entries and funding applications and other things like that. Yeah. You just found that out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you use any of the branding stuff in your award application?
Loads of it.
Loads of it. Brilliant. That's great. That's good to hear. So fingers crossed. So Helen, for anyone who doesn't know, Helen has been shortlisted for one or two categories, Helen?
One, most enterprising. Most
enterprising business 2022. So fingers crossed. Good luck to you on the 25th of November when the categories are announced. But I am delighted to hear that you were able to use loads of your branding work in your application. And that is exactly the point in doing this, because it gives you, instead of staring at a blank application form and thinking, how do I write my bit about my business? The work's already done. Think how many more applications you could put in now. You can copy and paste all of that and you've got it ready to go. So you can
even just having gone through the thought process of thinking about all those bits, I find helps with loads of stuff.
Yeah, perfect, great. Right, so that's the letter to yourself, and that's how you turn it into your short vision statement. Just take a highlighter pen, or the highlighter function on the computer, she says, and pick out key sentences and put them together in that vision statement box in your brand strategy template. Okay. So talking of brand strategy template, I didn't actually tell you when we started off and do one thing. I didn't tell you were writing your brand strategy, but you were. We got to week 3 before I actually told you that you were going to write your brand strategy. You had already done about 60% of it by then. So I was being a bit sneaky. So in week 2, we started thinking about brand goal setting. So your big goal is one thing. I gave you an information sheet to read about big goal versus brand goals. Your big goal is this big mountain, the mountain you want to climb. It's 30 years time it'll take to get there, but the brand goals really help you to think about what you want to do right now. Yeah, so what do we want to do this year? What do we need to do with our brand to grow the business this year? That's what the brand goals are. And I like you to have about 3 brand goals on the go. So for example, Susan, one of yours is probably to get your website up and running. Is that right? Yeah. So what are the key things that are brand related that are going to help you to connect with customers, get your message out there, take your business to the world? So we thought a little bit more about that in week 2. We spent pretty much the whole week thinking about goals. I think this was also the week we did Net Promoter Score and that's coming out. That's coming out. It was too much. So I promised you that things were only going to take 30 minutes or so. That one was too big, especially for a business like yours, Helen. You've got thousands of people in your contacts. So, thousands of
but saying that, Ailsa, we all need a kind of feedback mechanism of some description. So, I wouldn't maybe just dilute it down rather than, the whole metric system.
Yeah. So I gave you
backside into place to get, a feedback sheet out there at the end of projects. And that's obviously ongoing for me. So I can't just let it slip and, then start to doing it, because I need those client comments and I need to know if things have got to change. You can only be a better version of yourself once you've got that feedback.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Have you managed to put yours out yet, Susan?
Yeah, but I haven't had a reply.
Yeah. So sometimes an incentive works, if you just a silly thing. I mean, obviously it's got to be in line with your brand personality as well. So this is where you can bring your creativity and you can think, okay, well, if I was going to incentivize as this personality, how does that look? Yeah, so have a little
because
think
when we
about
work together, you asked me to ask clients and some friends about adjectives to describe me and my work, and I found that really useful. So I have still got some of that information, which will be good when, because a few of them wrote a few sentences and they were active clients. So I want to just reinforce that, you know, I'm still working with some of them, but once I'm finished, just to see, well, it's ongoing, I think, as well. Yeah.
You could think about, Susan, what do they need next? So almost like a reverse lead magnet. Yeah, so a lead magnet is a piece that you create to get clients through the door in the first place. But I'm thinking, you know, your project is a big project, you're an architect. When they're finished, they maybe don't need you again for a while, but they're going on to need other services, and you think about other things like, how do I decorate this space now, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, or where do I buy my furniture? Perhaps you could create
it's maybe worth adding on to the feedback.
Yeah. And then once they've completed the feedback, they get your guide on, you know, like how to choose a decorator, or how to, you know, or that something that would be useful to them, that they go, oh yeah, I'll just do that because I quite fancy that guide that she's got there.
And it's also just, you know, if I finish it at working drawing stage and then they're running with it in themselves on site, you know, they're then, the contractor will suggest things rightly or wrongly. And so then it might be an amendment to planning or building warrant or you know, design or detail or something. So I think it's just, you know, suddenly it's a problem for them. It's a panic. What do we do? You know, what's the system? Blah blah blah, and the kind of time frame. So maybe if I had something in place that, you know, I could just have it, you know, just get back in touch, and you know, it's a process that I can handle on your behalf.
Great. So I think based on your feedback, what I might be doing, I guess, is I'll take out the spreadsheet stuff. We won't build a brand tribe spreadsheet because some of you already got systems in place for that anyway. But maybe we'll still do Net Promoter. The reason I was keen to introduce this so early on in week 2 is so that you can measure progress. And if you take a measurement early on, and you look at it in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, you know, 5 years, you should see a shift in that metric. So Net Promoter Score is probably one of the key ways that you can do that. But I did also send you, or put in the members area, a worksheet, a guide that described other methods that you can use to measure your brand as well, depending on what your brand goals are. Okay, so that was week 2. So for you, Catherine, if you haven't opened any of that, I guess the key thing is set 3 goals for your brand, and for the next 12 months, things that are achievable, that will help you move your business forward, and think about doing some kind of customer survey to gauge where are you now. So I've provided a sheet called the Net Promoter Score that will help you take a measurement from your customers now, and that'll give you a baseline. Okay, and then in week 3, we really, I had teased you through bits of brand strategy, but I thought, right, we're going to nail it now. You're going to be finished having a brand strategy. So we got into the really difficult bit, and we'll spend a bit of time talking about this now if you like, but we got into personality and values. Personality really drives everything in your brand strategy because it guides, you know, how you write about your brand and how your brand behaves. So it's important to get that bit right. I don't want you to ever change the personality of your brand. Your brand isn't schizophrenic. It can flip and flop between 2 things. One of the most common things that people say to me is, oh, it's a bit of this and it's a bit of that and it's a bit of the next thing. No, it's not. You have to decide. If you want to have a clear brand that sticks in people's minds, you need to pin your colours to one mast and stick with that. So whilst you may have been running it with, you know, bits of this, bits of that, bits of the other coming through, focus more clearly now. So there could be a gap. There could be a gap between where you are now, how you've been communicating now, how things look now, what people say now, the whole experience now, and a clearly defined brand of the future. So what we're thinking about is, what is your clearly defined brand of the future? What is the overarching personality that you use to get that across? Now, personality is only one brand tool in your brand toolkit, and you do not have to use personality. And a lot of brands don't really use personality. They use other things like place to focus everything on. But it's a really great tool. And if you can use personality, brands that use personality definitely stand out from the crowd. And if you want your business to stand out from the crowd, and especially if you're operating in a crowded marketplace, I would highly recommend that you put your big girl pants on, take a bravery pill or whatever you need to do, and go with a personality, a strong personality that can represent your brand.
Ailsa, can I ask? I'm struggling with that one.
Yes.
I've put Explorer, but does that, buyers, do you think that fits with buyers?
So talk me through why you say Explorer. I think it sounds good, yeah, but talk me through your reasoning for that.
Kind of, it's exploring the great outdoors. It's a bit fun. It's kind of got quite a lot of energy in it. You can explore as a family, or you can explore as individuals. You can come here to learn, which is exploring. I just thought the great outdoors explorer type personality. But that I also was swinging with patriarch, and the quality family time, and the kind of, the kind of emotional more sense, making
so let
memories.
me explain the difference between those two. Okay. So I think you're correct. I think Explorer is the better one for your brand. So patriarch would be a very traditional farm. So the word in itself sounds traditional, doesn't it? Yeah. I would expect a rustic wooden outbuildings. I would expect traditional methods of farming. I would expect old tractors. I would expect traditional produce, a traditional experience. The visual identity would look quite oldie worldy. That's not what I see in Buyers Farm. Yeah, much more modern. And Explorer is a more modern brand. Dare I say, even cutting edge. It uses bright colours. Oh, that looks like it might fit your brand.
Yeah.
And all the things you talked about, exploring the environment, encouraging exploring, getting people out to explore, people exploring relationships with animal, and each other, and exploring how farming works, all that kind of thing. The one that you need to be careful about is guide. Yeah, so there's a personality around a guide. It wasn't on the matrix, but it is a personality that's often used by a brand, especially one in your space, right? So I would steer away from the guide personality if you want to go explorer. So can you imagine what the difference is between those two? So a guide, yeah, go on, you say.
Is it more, being led around the experience rather than exploring it yourself?
Yeah, exactly so. Yeah. So now can you understand what I say about the personality driving the way that you create your business experience, your products, your services, all that kind of thing? So if you were a guide, people would be met, they would go in groups, you would lead them around, you would talk to them about, they could ask questions, you'd be ever present. You might have all sorts of ways of leading them through that experience, and they would follow you through that experience. But as an explorer, you're giving them free rein. Yeah. You're taking the money at the door and you're giving them the tools and you're going, off you go. Yeah. And they're exploring, and they don't have to do it in a linear fashion. They can go here, there, and everywhere. They can touch things, feel things, smell things, get in about the whole experience of a farm and just explore what's there. Yeah. That's very different to a guided experience.
Yeah, so the only one would be like our whiskey tours is more guide based, but that's one small part of the overall business. So
okay, Yeah, so maybe think about, is there a way that you can bring explorer language into that and tweak the experience to make explorer. I do understand the reason why you might need to guide a whiskey experience. However, can we make it sound more explorery? Yeah, okay. So, and that's how you use the brand strategy. You go, well, wait a minute, we're the explorer. So we do have to be there present in this experience for people, because there's alcohol involved and there's licensing laws and blah, blah, blah. But how do we bring explorer into that? What, the way we talk about it, the things that the customer gets to do, in what way are they exploring?
Yeah,
and customers different taste senses, so what may appeal to somebody might not appeal to the other person. So I think you're setting the baseline, but you're giving them the opportunity to how they see it. If it's too peaty, or it might appeal to somebody else, but given the opportunity.
Explorer is very much about newness, okay, when things are new to you. So you're encouraging people to go beyond the boundaries of what they might normally do. And Susan,
that's me.
That's you.
So I'm also explorer.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the journey you've been on with that, because that might help, Kath.
Yeah, because so what we described before was being an explorer means doing things differently, or doing things that have not been done before, and inspires how I behave professionally. Meaning I'm always looking for the next great idea and always ready to embrace change. The explorer is an action-based personality full of energy, setting an example and giving hope to others about what can be achieved today and in the future. So the attributes are visionary, inventive, dynamic, far-sighted, open-minded, courageous and bold. So when you were describing it to Helen, I thought that's just ticking all the boxes here, but obviously applied to the architectural world that I work in.
Yeah, perfect. Catherine, have you had any thoughts on personality at all?
No, because I haven't got that far yet.
Yeah, so let me just, for the benefit of you and everyone else who's watching this later, there's a worksheet in the members area. It's called the Jung's 13 Archetypal Personality Matrix. It took me a long time to master how to say that. Oh, someone's joined the waiting area. So just let that person come in. So it took me a long time to work out how to say that, but good morning.
Hi, sorry, it's Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay. I was thinking, that's not Wilma.
I don't know him to call Wilma.
Can you tell I left my charger for my own laptop at home? So I'm like, oh, Mom, I need your laptop.
That's okay. That's okay. So, Lindsay, we're just talking through week by week what's been covered. How far have you got? Have you opened any emails? That's okay. You can be totally honest. We're all friends here.
I've opened a lot, and I have a lot thought out in my head. Some I already had from my own strategy, like ideal client and our why and some of our brand voice. I need to sit down and write a lot, like put pen to paper and actually down. I've looked at the things but haven't printed them off.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm a big fan of writing things down. Big fan of writing things down. So I'm going to carry on nagging you about that till the cows come home. till Helen's cows come home. Helen, have you got any cows?
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got cows, Lindsay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Till all the cows come home, I'm going to keep going on about writing things down, because it saves you work later. And you've actually just missed a wee bit, Helen. Lindsay, where were you talking about Helen? Helen entered an award. She's been shortlisted for the award. So congratulations to Helen. But she used a lot of her brand work in the award application. It's written down. She can copy and paste it into the application. And funding applications as well. That's another way that you can use a lot of this stuff. Yeah. So it kind of becomes really, really beneficial to the business beyond the actual job that it's there to do. So okay, so we're on week 3, so you haven't missed too much, because we were talking about first week, we were just like talking about goal setting and things like that. You've probably got some goals in mind. And then we were thinking a bit more about the vision, writing a vision for your business, and we're thinking about the personality element now. So we were just talking about Helen and Susan both plumped on Explorer. I don't know if you had a chance to think about that, but I was talking to Catherine. She hasn't managed to get that far yet, but I was just sharing that there's a work sheet that you can look at. It's the Jung's 13 archetypal personality matrix. I said it again without stumbling. So it's got 13 personalities on it, but it is just a starter. It's a place to start gathering your thoughts, and you can choose one of those personalities for your business, or you can come up with a completely different label, a totally different word that doesn't mean, it isn't featured on there, isn't any of those things. You'll probably find it closely connects to one of those labels, but feel free to describe your own brand in your own words. But the key point that you missed, Lindsay, so I'll say it again, is you'll probably look at that and think, oh, it's a bit of this, it's a bit of that, sometimes it's this. No, it's not going to be that in the future. There's a gap then in that case. And it might very well be that you're doing a bit of this, a bit of that just now, but to build a strong brand, you need to choose one clear personality. That is the key to building a strong brand. So you have to kind of start phasing out activities that don't align with that personality and start talking in a way that is reflective of that one personality in order to become a stronger voice for your brand. Yeah, does that make sense? So it's quite likely that if you've never thought about it before, you can recognize different elements of the personalities in what you're doing just now. But the whole exercise we're going on now is to create some focus and clarity. Yeah, so choose a personality. Do you know what sheet I'm talking about, Lindsay? Have you had a look at that at all? The sort of matrix?
I do, but I hadn't picked one specific one.
Yeah.
I probably was a bit on where you're at in terms of a bit of that and a bit of that.
Yeah. So it's time to go, okay, actually, for all time, going forward, we're never going to change this. So take some time to think about it. We're going to choose this territory. And like I said, it might not be a word that's written on there, but it might be inspired by that, or that might make you think of another word that sums up what's really great about the personality of your business and focus on that. And then I was just talking to Helen about the difference between explorer and guide. Guide isn't a word that's on the matrix, but guide is a common brand personality. So we were talking through the farm experience and what's the difference between a guided experience and an experience that's driven by an explorer brand. So you can probably imagine, that you would be led around the experience, someone would be talking to you all the time, someone would be helping you answer questions. Whereas explorer, you meet them at the door, you give them the tools, you'll let them run free. Yeah, off they go. And people are encouraged to explore, to try new things, to touch things, to feel things, to have their own experience and really go for it. And visually, an explorer brand is a bright, colourful thing. It's probably a modern looking brand, whereas Helen had been thinking about maybe Patriarch as one of her brands. That would be much more traditional. There would be, a real heritage feel, and that would come out also in the farm equipment, in the buildings, and all the stuff would feel much more traditional farm. Yeah, which is not the experience you have when you go to Helen's farm.
It's probably the traditional you have at Long Island retreats. It'd be more about the heritage of the crofting and things, would it be?
Yeah, no, the heritage is a big part of it, but I don't know that would be the brand word that I would go with, because ours is very much more about escapism and the island life. So I need to put a bit more thought into it in terms of,
So just shortly before you came on to the call, Lindsay, I was talking about how not all brands use personality, okay? You don't have to use personality if it doesn't sit right with you, okay? A lot of brands, especially in the hospitality sector and also in the food and drink sector, a lot of them use place as their key brand tool, and a sense of place, and using the the emotional impact of the place that you're based in order to attract customers. So that is another way to brand your business, yeah, and to kind of use that. But the only problem with that is that you're fighting with everybody else in that place to be a bit different in how you say it, and everybody ends up using the same language, same visual imagery, you know, all that kind of thing. It's like, it's an advert for the island, but is it an advert for your business? Yeah, so that becomes the kind of, you know, the difficulty in that space. So if you can also have a personality within that that's unique to your business, then you can actually use personality and place hand in hand with each other to create a strong identity for your business. Yeah, so I definitely think, so especially when it comes to tone of voice, we're going to talk about that a bit more later on this morning. Okay, right. So then the last thing we talked about in week 3 was setting brand priorities. So this is like a task list, basically. This is not really part of your strategy. This is like, what am I going to do? What am I actually going to do to grow this brand? So once you know what your brand goals are, they're kind of 12 months from now. So build a website, or launch a brand ambassador experience, or create a new service or product within our offer. How am I going to do that? What are the priorities, that things that I need to get done in the next 12 months in an order? And it's a checklist. So that's what we did at the end of week 3. So then by the time we've done all that, you've got a brand strategy. So just to run through, for the benefit of anybody who's watching later on or is joining in the program for the first time today, we're recording, by the way, Lindsay, just so that you know. So sometimes I'll be explaining things that you may already know, just for the benefit of others watching. So you have your 5 headings on your bit of paper. You have a brand strategy. You have why, the reason you're getting out of bed in the morning, which I sometimes refer to as core purpose. You have your big goal, which is 30 years from now. You have your vision statement, which is the short version, just the sort of 8 to 10 key sentences taken out of your letter to yourself. Then you have your personality for the business. And then you have your values. Oops, I forgot to talk about values. Just as well I went through my 5. I told you people don't remember very much. I've been doing this for 25 years and I forgot one of the 5 things, because people remember things in 3s. Yeah, so that's why I want you to have 3 brand values, because after 3, we sometimes get a bit lost. Our brain is just set up to more easily remember things in 3s. It's called the rule of 3. There's a lot of studies on it. I'm not an expert in it, but I have read quite a few studies on the rule of 3. So basically, 3 is your friend when it comes to getting people to remember things, and your brand is what stays in other people's mind. So we're trying to get people to remember things. So 3 brand values is a good place to be. I break that rule, so you're obviously allowed to break that rule too. If you can't narrow it down to 3, then that's okay. I have 5 brand values, but in order to get myself to remember them and help other people, I don't expect other people to remember them, but to help other people, I use A, B, C, D, E. So I use a mnemonic. I use a tool to help people remember what they might be. I bet nobody knows my brand values except me. I would like people to know your brand values, and you can be better at that than me. So anyway, so if you have 3 brand values, I have a bit of a rule around this. So I gave you a worksheet. So if you check the members area, you'll find a worksheet called Common Brand Values. There's a difference between common brand values and boring brand values. And I've got a pet hate of boring brand values. You are not allowed to have boring brand values. And many, many, many businesses on this planet have extremely boring brand values. The reason you're not allowed to have boring brand values is because it's such a shame. It's such a waste. These brand values are a fantastic tool to help you engage with your target audience. Sometimes your brand values are one of the first things that people start to see and remember beyond the logo, the tagline, and just the like visually what they can take in. So if you get them right, then really you can start to help people understand whether they want to be in your tribe or not. So what I want you to use that sheet to do is to circle the ones that feel right to you, but then think about how to use your tone of voice to write them in a more interesting way, in a way that people might be able to engage with and remember. We didn't do that in week 4. In week 3, in fact, we thought about brand values, and then later on when we get to tone of voice in week 7, we start thinking about how to write the values. So we'll spend a bit of time. I'll skip through the next couple of weeks quite quickly. We'll spend a bit of time working on that, because I think maybe you didn't get that far with opening emails and things. Maybe Susan, you've maybe got that far, have you? Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay, so 3 values. 3 is a great number, helps people remember, and the 3 values should sum up really what you believe in. Yeah, give people something to connect with. Give people something that they think, yes, that's me, that's what I believe in. Yes, I love that. I'm really interested in this business now. Good values should make people pay attention to your business. They should suddenly start to think, oh, yes, that is what I've been thinking. And here's a business that thinks like me. Yeah, that's what your brand values are for. Brand values tend to be quite...
I have
Sorry.
4.
Go on then, let's hear your 4.
Well, I did that when I did that video. I did the 4.
Yeah, so, but we need to repeat things again and again, Susan.
Okay.
People don't remember very much.
So having the ability to reimagine. So that's about breathing life into new buildings and, looking at different potential. Taking the one bold step, so not just drawing any old design. Being together on the journey, so, I'm there to support them, help them through all the problems. And creating a vision just for you. So it's a bespoke service that I provide because, it's bespoke clients and it's a bespoke building most of the time.
That sounds like an architect I want to work with. Yeah. I'm now interested in finding out more about your service, but I bet there aren't many architects who describe their values in that way, Susan.
No,
none. But let me just tell you this. I actually helped Susan. I supported her to come up with those values some time ago.
Yeah, it wasn't
and
me.
I've seen them and heard them many times, but I didn't remember them. When she started saying them, I was like, oh yeah, I remember Susan's values. I love Susan's values. But this is straight back to my point about people don't remember very much. You don't even remember your own work very much sometimes, so you can't expect other people to remember it. So repeat until you're a broken record. Lindsay, just at the beginning of the session today, we were having a bit of a chat about that, and Helen, actually, you come in and tell Lindsay what you were saying about your weekend event and feeling.
Yeah, had I not been listening to Ailsa earlier talking about repeat until you're bored of saying what you're saying, that's the point that people start listening. Our autumn ticket sales weren't actually that great, and I'd actually put so much effort into creating a great event that I forgot to tell the world about it. So for the last 2 weeks, I felt like a stuck record just plugging this autumn event. And in the last few days, we sold loads of tickets and it was actually great. So the repeating thing definitely worked. But had I not been listening to Ailsa, I probably wouldn't have put quite as many posts out about it because I felt I was like a stuck record, but it worked.
You know you're starting to get somewhere when you start to get bored of your own message. That's the key thing to remember. And it's hard because, of the way we're brought up and the way we're talked to when we're kids and stuff like that. Oh, stop going on about that. No, forget that. Yes, do go on about that again and again and again and again and some more and again. Oh, people have started to notice you're talking now. So that's a really important thing when you're trying to build a brand, trying to grow a business, trying to attract attention to what you're doing. But you should have confidence in your message, because you guys are spending a lot of time and effort working out a message that means something to your customer, that will resonate with your customer, that will solve a problem that your customer has. So there's no need to be embarrassed. You're not talking about yourself. You're talking about useful information that helps them and solves a problem that they have. Yeah. So you don't need to be embarrassed, because if you don't get that message out there, then you can't help them. So get it out there so that you can help them. Okay. So yeah, so in week 4, we talked about that, about the problems that you solve, and we talked about the different types of customers that you've got. So actually in the future, when I run Do One Thing again, I think I will make thinking about customers and different types of customers a whole week, because I think we only spent 2 days on that, and I think really that takes a little bit longer to really dig down into the weeds of your customer and who they really are. And in actual fact, that's a job that goes on and on and on and on and on, because you'll be putting your surveys out, put your Net Promoter Score survey out, record your data about your customers who are coming to visit you, talk to customers, get testimonials from customers. We're going to be doing some of that in term 2, starting to get some reviews and testimonials from people. You'll all the time you find out more about who these people are who are engaging with your business. And actually another mistake that businesses make is they keep looking for new customers all the time. But if someone has gone to the trouble of starting to pay attention to your message and then engage in your message to the point where they actually come to your weekend event, Helen, and actually visit Bouse Farm, know where it is, had a great time there, oh boy, are they useful people to have on your books now, because they're the most likely people to buy the next thing that you promote. Yeah. So it's not all about new, and it's not all about mass marketing and putting stuff out on social media. A lot of the time it's just about telling the people who've already come to you before that you've got something else to offer them. And actually you can build really, really strong foundations for your business. It's not necessarily true in your case, Susan, because your business model is different. So you've got a bespoke service, it's a huge investment. But what your customers are your best brand ambassadors. So it is important to still keep communicating with them and telling them what you're doing, because you want to still be top of their mind, so that when Mrs. Jones next door wants the extension, it's you that she comes to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're completed projects, almost like a extension of my portfolio. It's kind of a showcase of work. And, you know, if they're in, somebody's in and said, oh, you know, who did you get to help you do this? You know, that's just great if they can pass on the name.
Yeah, but ideally it's your message that they're giving out there, so that they have had that message repeated. You're lucky because your customer engages with you for a long time. So you need to think very carefully when we get to customer experience, where all the touch points are, all the places where you can be brainwashing them throughout the experience with you, so that
it's hard to let go as well.
Yeah.
It comes, I think it's because it's such a personal service as well, because, you know, most people's biggest investment in their lives are the house they live in. Yeah. So, you know, it's a big chunk of what they're doing. But I do get excited by new things as well. So it's like, I'll ditch them. And then just...
Yeah. But also, in a way, maybe think about that when we get to term 3 and we're thinking about customer experience and thinking, do I have to let go of every single one of them? Is there ways that I can continue to engage with them, you know, add value to them? Yeah. And so,
I'm lucky that, you know, most of them end up being friends. So, you know, there's always a link in some way.
Yeah. Okay. So, and one of the ways to start engaging with your tribe of customers is to make sure that you're adding value to them. So that's where this idea of problems that you solve come in. So one of the most important worksheets of term 1 of Do One Thing is the problems you solve worksheet. So if you're only going to fill a couple of worksheets in, it's the brand strategy worksheet, get the boxes filled in on that one, and the problems you solve worksheet. And the reason that the problems you solve worksheet is so important is that is going to create the basis for all of your content going forward that's brand related. Okay, so yes, you're going to talk about your products and services. Yes, you're going to talk about reviews that you've had from customers. Yes, you're going to talk about where you're located and how beautiful the island is, or, you know, how beautiful Murray is, or how beautiful, you know, your part of the world or whatever. And yes, you're going to talk about functionally what you can do for the customer, but in terms of engaging with them on an emotional level, they are heroes on a mission, your customers. They are looking for a solution to a problem. And if you're not talking about that problem, they're not listening to your business. Yeah. So, so fill in, please fill in all the problems you solve worksheet. And then when you start to think about what to write a blog about, or what to create a social media post on, or what to write in your newsletter, or what to put in your frequently asked questions on your website, or indeed what key messages you put in your homepage of your website, the first place you look is that problems you solve worksheet. Yeah, because that is the place that is has recorded all the things that the customer is worried about that you have the answer to. So if you spend any time in the next couple of weeks filling in a worksheet, that's the one, the problem you solve. Okay.
Ailsa, that was a bit of a sticking point for me. See, off the top of your head, is there anything that you would say, I'm not sure I've got it right in terms of the problems, because it's not a local audience.
Yeah, okay. So now tell me a little bit about your customer first, Lindsay.
So I've got two main customer profiles that I work with. One is families, so they're going for like the pony experiences, etc. The other is couples. So they're very much outdoors, escapism, looking to immerse themselves in the location that they go to. Yeah, open to adventure.
Mm-hmm. So you just need to turn all those things on their head and you go, why? Why do they need to do that? Yeah. So is it, you know, that they don't have that experience available themselves at home, or what's the environment like where they're coming from? You know, you need to understand a little bit more about, so are these local customers? Are these people coming on holiday?
No, so the bulk of customers are for like experiences are all holiday visitors. There's some local, but the bulk is holidays.
Yeah. So the big problem I think that you're going to be solving is about memories. Yeah, because people don't remember very much in life, but you're trying to, when you're going on holiday, you're trying to create childhood memories for your kids. Or when you are on holiday with your partner, you're trying to create a moment of connection between the two of you. Yeah, because you're at work all the time and you don't have time, and you know, weeks go by and you can't really remember what's happened. You want a moment that you remember. Because when we're when we're sitting in our rocking chairs when we're old grannies and granddads, we're going to use that memory bank and look back. Yeah. And people are constantly seeking the next memorable moment in their life that is going to be on the top 50 things that your brain cycles through when you're in the old folks' home. And it's not easy, because people don't remember very much. We're not easily kind of blown away by things. We don't experience many new things in our life. We stay in our comfort zone quite a lot. We maybe don't push ourselves out of our comfort zone a lot. And then when we do, we want to feel safe, even though we're outside of our comfort zone and that kind of thing. Yeah. So I guess perhaps your customer, not without knowing too much detail about your customer, but perhaps they want adventure, but they're not adventurous. Yeah.
Yeah, so, no, that would be fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not going up Everest, are they? They're sitting on the back of a pony on a kind of, you know, on a trek, or they're doing something that's a mild adventure.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. I just wasn't sure if those were problems, if you know what I mean. That was where I was maybe tripping myself up.
Yeah. I would definitely I'll look a bit more at some of your social media and things like that. So I would definitely include more people in it, because
Yeah.
people are not very good at seeing themselves in the moment.
In a situation. Okay.
Yeah, but they are wanting to be in that situation, and they're wanting to have that great. And also there's another, as well as the memorable moment, is talking points as well. They want to go home and talk about their holiday and have something to tell their friends about, something to say at the dinner table, and something to talk to each other about as well. Yeah. And the parents of the kids, they want to be great parents. They want the kids to go, oh my God, remember that time when we went on that pony trek when we were out in the islands, and oh my God, that was the best day of my life. Yeah.
Great, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. So just think about, the problem is the pressures on the parent to book that kind of holiday. And also, it's not just booking the accommodation doesn't create that. Yeah. How easy is it to have that experience? I've been on multiple holidays where we didn't really do anything. We just kind of went somewhere. Yeah. So it's about that pressure to create that great family experience, that memorable moment, that bonding moment, that connection, all those kind of things. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
I would talk around that. And also, if you have a short list and you would like to have more things on that, look at your customer reviews. That's a great place to start, because they'll tell you what it was that you did for them. And then if you don't have many reviews, or they're a little bit, oh, it was amazing, and not giving you a lot of information, start asking the customers, yeah, what was it you wanted in a holiday before you came here? Get there.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. So in week 6, we started thinking about tone of voice. So in order to start crafting your tone of voice, you need to know what your brand personality is. So it's really crucial that you pick a brand personality. I don't want to rush you into that, because you're not allowed to change your brand personality. So take time and play about with it. Try different options. Imagine if you went, like we did in this conversation, in this call, imagine if you went down the Patriarch Road versus imagine you went down the Explorer Road. How does that look? Try and imagine what that looks like. Go, does that feel like it fits, or does that feel like it fits? And if you're not sure, talk to your customers about it. Don't talk to your mum or your friends or your husband, because they're liars. Sorry. Yeah, but they'll tell you what you want to hear. Yeah. So talk to the customers and gauge their reactions. Some trusted customers that aren't that you know well. And try and get some opinions and feedback from them. If you really can't make a decision about the brand personality, try and see what resonates. The really important thing is that the brand personality you choose resonates. That means they really like it. It means something to them. It appeals to them. It makes a connection with them, because we're in branding. We're all about making connections on an emotional level with our customers. And you know how, you meet loads of people in life, don't you? And you just connect with some, and some you're not so fussed about, and you take them or leave them and you move on. We want to be the one that really appeals to them. So talk to your customer if you're not sure what personality that is that you're trying to get across. Now, and just one final point on personality, which is, yes, as a small business and a sole trader, it may be that that's a reflection of your personality, but imagine your business is going to be much, much bigger. Yeah, eventually it might be. And there no longer that personality will be you. So we need to be able to write down and describe what that personality is, so that other people can bring it to life on your behalf. And even if you are a sole trader or a very small business, maybe you aren't great at writing and you want to hire a copywriter. So you need to be able to give them a brief that says the personality of the business is this. So please put that hat on when you're writing on behalf of our business. These are the key words and phrases that we use. These are our values. We want to reflect them in our writing. We want to talk about our values in the content we put out there. These are our adjectives that describe the personality we want to get across. These are sayings and phrases and messages that we want to repeat frequently. I've been trying to demonstrate that to you throughout the whole of the first term with the emails that you send. So maybe by now, does anybody know what I always say at the beginning of an email? or social media posts or anywhere I start talking to you, I have a saying. Do you know what that is? It's very short. Is this an introduction? No? It's on every single email. There's a great lesson in repeat, repeat, repeat. I say, hey there. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. So every single email and also all of my social media posts say, hey there, ... Yeah. Okay. And how do I sign off an email? Bye for now. Every single email says bye for now. So I have some phrases that I always repeat. Yeah. You're my engaged audience. You showed up for the boot camp. Maybe you're not my engaged audience. No, I know that you are. I know that you are an engaged audience. And I'm saying that every single day to you. That is how much people notice. Yeah. You've now had more than 40 emails and 40 social media posts with those words on. Always be there, always bye for now. And you haven't noticed. However, there are some other things. Maybe they're not very memorable things, right? What do I say about this? You're all on mute, by the way. You can come off.
Write it down.
Write it down. Yeah, okay. So you know, I repeat that phrase again, and I say repeat, repeat, repeat. Yeah, because I want you to repeat things. Yeah. So I have a set of phrases that I use. Branding. What is branding? It's not a marathon.
Sprint.
It's a sprint. Yeah. So, and strategy, image, experience. Yeah. And brand is what stays in other people's minds about your business. Yeah. So I have key phrases that are part of my brand tone of voice. I don't say those things differently ever. Yeah, I have them written down on my brand tone of voice. These are my phrases. These are my words. I do not say branding's quite a long walk. Yeah, I always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah. So I have worked out some key phrases that I want to repeat, that I want people to remember. And that's what you need to do for your business as well. You need to think, what are things that I want people to remember about this business? And those are part of my tone of voice. Okay. And then obviously there's the written tone of voice, and you try to use your stage version of your voice, because when you're writing, it's quite hard to get that tone through. And then there's your spoken tone of voice. So when you're making videos and reels and stories, which I'm sure you all love doing loads of. Helen, you're amazing at that, but I don't know about you, but I find it quite hard. So yeah, so that's your spoken tone of voice. So you need to try and make a connect between those two. And if you've written the phrases down and you practice them, you'll remember to use them when you're speaking as well. Yeah. Okay. Who's got questions about tone of voice? Okay, so I gave you a worksheet, and I guess the thing that you can do, if you, it shouldn't take you very long, like this is a 30-minute task really. If you've done all the other bits beforehand, start recording some phrases that you want to use. Yeah, so use that tone of voice worksheet to record some words that should be in there, some phrases, and put the personality on there. And that's your briefing sheet if you give someone else the job of doing your social media posts, or if you give someone else the job of writing your blog or your newsletter for you. These are things we need to have peppered throughout our copy. Okay, that's pretty useful. And then, how are we doing for time? Does anybody need a quick comfort break? It's 11:30. Yeah, okay, so I think before we go on to week 7 and 8, we're going to have 10-minute break. You can get a cup of tea, have a comfort break, and then we'll come back together. Is that okay? Who's got questions before we break?
Sorry, Ailsa, I'm going to have to duck out. I've got an interview at 12. Sorry.
Okay.
So I'll play it back afterwards, but thank you. That's been really useful so far.
Okay, no worries. You can play back the recording. Basically, all that you've missed from week 7 and 8 is we're talking about, you're starting to get into messages after that. Okay, so thinking about what are the 3 key messages that you want to repeat that you'll be writing on that sheet. And then I'm thinking to websites, because some people don't have websites, and those would go front and center on your website. And then how do customers get to that point where they've got the memorable experience, or the memorable moment, or whatever? What's the transformation? So we need to think about that 3-step process to transforming their life. And then in the last week, it was a bit about your elevator pitch. So talking about your business, using the phrases that describe the problem you solve. And then I want you to book something. I want you to go networking and talk to other people and start practicing all of this stuff that we've been doing. Okay, so we'll come back just for another half an hour. We'll probably finish just after 12, ladies, but if you want to go and have a comfort break now, and I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Okay.
Nice to see you, Lindsay. Catch you again.
Yes, thanks for coming. Thanks so much for coming, Lindsay.
No worries. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye. Helen, how did you get on in the break?
I've just watched back all my Insta stories and in the archives and realised I start every story with a morning folks, evening folks, afternoon folks. So I've got my first phrase for tone of voice.
Brilliant. So you're going to write that down in your tone of voice worksheet.
Written it down.
Brilliant. Progress. You've just done one thing today that builds your brand, because you've recognised your brand phrase. And now what you need to do is apply consistency. Yeah. So you've noticed that you do it in your stories. Do you do it in your reels? You should also do it in the text of your Instagram and Facebook posts. Yeah. And you should also do it in your newsletter, and your blog, and all the other places that you're writing conversationally on behalf of your brand. And that will become your conversational style, and that'll start helping you to stand out from the crowd. And someone will see that and they'll go, oh, that must be a Buyer's Farm communication. Yeah. And then there'll be other things throughout the communication that also build up part of your brand presence, your brand tone of voice. Yeah. Okay. So we've gotten through 6 weeks of do one thing. I'll start screen sharing again in a minute, but I just wanted to, I sort of skipped over customers a little bit, and I just wanted to head back there and just talk to you guys about how you got on with defining who your target customers are. How was that for you? Helen.
I had kind of done that with Jennifer from Grey Lag Marketing.
Yeah.
So I had like a customer profile that I'd written, but I think I'm just solving a day out for families. It's kind of, I think that's my strong problem solving part. And then I've got a couple of customer profiles. I picked 2 regular customers that come every week religiously, like they would be my best customers ever, and I've profiled them.
Yeah.
Because they come regularly, I kind of feel I know them quite well.
Yeah.
And do they have the same profile, or are they different?
Very similar, actually. Very similar. They're both teachers. They both have kids.
They know the value of education.
So are they part-time teachers though?
Yeah, both part-time teachers.
Yeah. So they're women, part-time teachers. So what is it about a teacher that makes them want to use your experience as opposed to something else that they can do?
I probably feel quite strongly about education, and they probably get the education bits that I'm adding into the two of them. They're both totally knackered. They both really enjoy a good coffee, and they both really enjoy that they can shut the gates and let the kids run, and they can enjoy a coffee.
Helen, do you know how many part-time female teachers with young kids in Murray there are?
No.
A lot. Okay, enough for you to grow that bedrock of 2 customers, two loyal. I mean, I know you have thousands of customers, right? But those loyal brand ambassadors, imagine you had 30 or 40 women come in once or twice a week. Yeah. So there's a little marketing campaign, isn't there?
Yeah, get onto the edgy net.
How do you reach part-time teachers? Yeah. Well, you start with the ones you've already got and you ask them and you say, if I want to communicate with people like you who are teachers who work part-time, who've got small kids, where will I find them? Yeah. Okay. And some of them will be RAF wives as well, I think.
Yeah, I think I need to definitely tap into that market more.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually another little niche for you, isn't it? The RAF wives, and they're very, very easy to reach, and they want to give their kids wholesome, good experiences, and they have jobs that are part-time, or perhaps they don't work at all because it's quite difficult to get established in a job as an RAF wife because you're moving around all the time. So mornings for mums is a really, really big way for you to fill your
like that phrase,
mornings for mums. Yeah.
I like that one. That's going down.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. And so one of the things we do, because we talk about niching and finding your niche, but so we do that and we kind of think, oh yeah, but actually, you know, really, really in the detail, those two people, they're the place to start with those two people. What is it that makes them come back again and again? And Catherine, your business will be the same. You'll probably be able to think of the 5-10 people who really get it, really want to come back, and will be lifelong or long-term customers. So really think about them and try and identify what have they got in common? What's the thing? I don't think at that moment Helen had really realized that the fact they were teachers was all that important, even though you knew that was their job. It hadn't dawned on you, oh, wait a minute, what about all the other women who are teachers who work in part-time with little kids? Yeah. They're going to love this, right?
They're good.
Yeah. So, so what problem are you solving for them? Time for them. Yeah. Because I don't know about you, but I remember that stage with little kids where you're like, oh, not just how do I entertain them, but also I have to entertain them all the time. So how do I do that in a way that I can talk to a grown-up at the same time? That's the problem you solve.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're probably not saying that in your marketing at the moment because you're talking about the kid and the experience they're going to have and the mum's going to feel good. But the problem you're not talking about is, and wouldn't you just like to sit down and have a coffee and chat to another mum? Yeah. Talk about that.
The kids are in a safe environment, but they're getting the educational value.
Yeah.
Well, they're able to relax a bit and not 100%.
Yeah, not 100%, obviously, because it's not a creche.
No, but not 100% having to provide, that education for them. They're wanting a break from education.
Yeah. But you don't need to feel guilty about sitting down and having coffee because we know you need that. Yeah. And we're creating an experience that offers both things. And a lot of your competitors they might go take the kids swimming. Well, you got to get in the water with the kids, so you're not having, you have a nice time, but it's not the same. Or they might take the kids to
themselves and everyone else and get out the pool and
exactly. Or they might take the kids to soft play. Well, it's indoors, isn't it? It's not quite as wholesome. It's not quite as, there's a little bit of guilt with that, isn't there? Because it's kind of easy parenting and not in any way really that pleasant for a parent.
In that phase.
Yeah. What else might they do, Helen? What else might they do instead of going to Barr's Farm?
Cinema. So any kind of family entertainment, I would class as my competitors. So go to the cinema, go shopping for the day, go to a play park.
The park,
soft play, Cadonas,
Yeah, so the park, but there isn't an educational element to that.
Yeah.
In the soft play, there isn't an educational element to that. So it's little minds exploring. Yeah. And little fingers exploring and experiencing a world beyond the town environment, really, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, So, and Catherine, so yeah, so go through a similar process. Think about the customers that you have now. Where can we draw similarities between them? Really, what's going on? And it can be a very small number of people, and Susan, yours as well, very small number of people. Why was it that they chose you? And what was it that made them great customers? And try and just really focus in on that, go, right, okay, this now tells me who else I need to try and reach. And how do I reach those people? Well, they might be friends of the customers you've already got. That's a great place to start. Or they might be hanging out someplace where that customer already is. Now, you've got local based businesses, you're looking for local customers. So the fantastic news is the job is easy. They live near you, your customers. So, you know, sometimes a business can be online, or in the case of Lindsay, who was with us this morning, she's looking for people all over the place, and it starts to get a lot more difficult. But when you're looking for customers who live nearby, you can really think, well, where are they? What networking event do they go to? What job do they have? What actual building within Murray do they work in? Maybe, you know, it's a school, or, you know, it's primary schools. It might be primary school teachers, because a lot of secondary school teachers tend to have older kids, I think. Could be generalizing there. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, find out if you don't know. It's like, oh, is that right? I don't know, actually. I just made a stereotype there. Go and find that out, because maybe it's only primary schools that you need to target, or maybe it's primary teachers, not secondary teachers. Who knows? And oh, actually, who else works part-time in the public sector and might have little kids?
Nurses.
Mm-hmm.
What nurses?
Yeah, exactly.
Catherine, you could be my in to the nursing sector.
Yeah, so there we go. Okay, so when we're putting things out on social media and our blog and our newsletter and all that kind of thing, yeah, we're talking to our niche, but we are also a bit mass marketing. But then when we start taking out an advert in the paper, advert on the radio, then it's more mass marketing. I think you need a bit of both, Helen. You can build a base of loyal customers, but you do want the masses to know that you exist as well.
I think that's where I'm falling down, is I need to do the kind of, I've got a good social media following, but they're all existing customers. Yeah. I need to start telling new people.
Breaking out beyond that, yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can do that yourself. That's the cheap way. And the next, you know, the last thing I ask you to do at the end of this term is go networking. And it might be that you go networking where your customers are, not where the other farmers' wives are. Yeah. Where are the customers hanging out? Let's go chat about Byers Farm in groups that have toddlers and mums and nurses and teachers in them. Yeah. Maybe you need to join a book group, you know, something like that. Yeah.
I'm in a book group, it just involves wine.
That's okay. That's my kind of networking.
Okay. And then you're lucky with them. I've always found a lot of contacts at the school gates when I was younger, just speaking to other mums, and maybe they weren't customers, but they knew of where to get into, you know, other groups of people like you're talking about.
So Helen herself,
but maybe I should go once a week and stand at the school gate just to chat to people.
Yeah, your school gate, definitely, with your Byers Farm.
Yeah, with your gilet on. Yeah,
absolutely. Now,
because people maybe actually know you, you know, they know who you are and where you are, but maybe they don't actually connect with the school or something if they're new.
I picked up a couple of really good customers at Elgin City Football, just standing, being a football mum. Yeah. But because I had my video on, someone came and spoke to me.
Exactly. And then it's not that, you know, they're already, before they have to approach you, which can be quite nervous for some people, including myself sometimes, you know, they've already know where you come from, because you wouldn't be wearing that if you weren't, you know, connected with the farm. So the first introduction is easier for them. It's like, oh, you know, what things do you do, or, you know, what kind of age group does this cover and things like that. It's already taken the first doubt from them, away from them.
Helen, in your merch, do you have a kids hat?
No, but it's on I'm pricing one just now.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
With
The
the
new
wellies on the front. There's a good
Yeah.
Christmas present for everyone. A little navy hat with a pom-pom with the wellies on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I
There's a
love your new hat, Billy. Where's that from? Byers Farm. Yeah.
Big pom-pom hats, because I think
Yeah.
what we do is a little bit different. So I don't just want a standard hat. I wanted something a bit different. So there's ones with giant pom-poms on the top.
Yeah.
I thought that would be a bit
Go big.
a little bit quirky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Could
just waiting for-
could you get your brand colours in the pom-pom?
Oh, that'd be clever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Probably
And in this,
expensive though, but it
in
might
this-
be quite nice if you were just going navy, but with a logo and then the same colours, you know, on the top.
and then in the summer,
Baseball.
what kind of hat would it be?
Like a baseball cap or
Nope.
something. No?
Use your
Bucket
brand
hat.
strategy. Use your brand strategy.
Cowboy hat.
Like an explorer's hat. So what kind of like hat does
Like a
an
bucket
explorer?
hat.
Sorry? Yeah, like a soft, a wide brimmed
Yeah.
sun hat that a classic Egyptian explorer, like when they were going to the desert or whatever,
Yeah,
a desert
a bit like
hat maybe.
Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit like that, but like a kind of soft kids version, navy with the wellies on the front, not a baseball cap. It's got a sun brim on it.
We got baseball caps once and I posted them all back. They were absolutely horrific. I'm so
Yeah.
glad they arrived late. They were just awful.
Yeah. And then if you have any kind of holiday activity for little ones, little explorers at Byers Farm.
Okay.
Yeah. Or something like that, that kind of thing. Anyway, right, we're diving deep there. We'll move on. Yeah, but just keep thinking, well, wait a minute, how do I bring this explorer theme through? How do I do that? Yeah, and how do I get that in front of new people as well? Okay, so yeah, so spend a bit of time thinking about the customers you've already got and what it is about them that could lead you to the next customer like them. And one customer at a time. Even if you're a big business, it's like, who is the next customer? I actually write a list. I have one now on my desk that has 50 names on it. I always know who the next 50 customers are that I'm wanting to reach. And I tick them off one at a time. I'm that mercenary. Yours is different, and other businesses in the membership are different because you need to reach multiple customers, but you need 10 to 20 to 30 groups of customers, little groups of people. Where are they? I'm going to go to that book group. I'm going to post something in that Facebook page, and I'm going to keep targeting them till those people start coming. Once you've got some of those people coming, start engaging more with them when they arrive and turn them into brand ambassadors, and then they will start doing that work for you, and then you can move on to the next target group. Yeah, so build up your tribe of brand ambassadors, give them the merch. Okay, yeah, get them wearing the brand, get them talking about the brand, make sure they know the brand messages, so that when they are standing at multiple school gates across Murray, they are spreading the word for you. You can only stand at one gate at a time. Yeah, but if you get that tribe on your side, which you will, because you're a lovely person and you'll engage with them, get them on side, then they're out there talking about your message. You've got a whole team of marketing people out there talking about your brand. Yeah, because you've solved their problem. You solved the problem. They go, I have a great time when we go to Byers Farm. Doesn't matter if it's raining. The kids don't even notice when it's raining, and we sit undercover having our coffee. But they've got a big undercover play area for the kids, so I still go there on the wet days.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you want to hear in your customer testimonials. Yeah.
Is on customer testimonials, I've kind of got a little bank. Should I put them into a post and put them regularly on social media? Like one day a week is testimonial Tuesday or something. Or does that get boring?
Yeah, just one at a time. Yeah. every now and then a customer testimonial.
About one a month or one a week, or I don't want it to become too boring. I know consistency is good, but you don't want like, oh, I'm not going to bother looking on Tuesday 'cause it's boring seeing.
Just try out different things. I don't know if testimonials are every week, actually.
Yeah.
We're going to cover testimonials in term 2, so let's wait on that. Yeah. I have to tease you now. There's a whole section on testimonials in term 2 coming right up. So let's finish off for the benefit of people who are joining the recording and trying to catch up with what they've missed. Let's talk about week 7. So just to finish off, in week 6, we were thinking about tone of voice, shaping the tone of voice, getting some words on the paper. And so that's where that led us to that discussion we've had right now. Okay. And then in week 7, we moved on to talk about the key messages that you need front and center for your brand. Now, this, I have you in my mind here, Susan, because you're going to be putting a website together. And the best websites that you come across have the key messages up front, and they really solve the customer problem. So when you look at that all the problems you solve worksheet, then what you've got to try and do is group those problems. And can you come up with just sort of maybe 3, it could be 4, okay, it could be 4, but I like 3s. I like multiples of 3 because it's easy to remember 3 things. And as I clearly demonstrated earlier on this morning, I start to forget after I've said 3 things, even my own stuff. So, so 3 is good. But yeah, you can go to 4 if you want to, but just bear in mind, put your most important messages 1 and 2. Okay, so what you want to talk about in your key messages is the transformation that the customer is going to experience. So you don't want to talk about the products and services. You want to talk about the feelings that they're going to have. Yeah. So have you got key messages, Susan? How have you been getting on with that? You're on. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
Such a cheat. They were create change with confidence, achieve more than you'd imagined, and enjoy the design adventure.
So we're talking about positive outcomes from working with Susan. Okay. You want change in your life. Yeah. What was the second part of that? Create change with confidence. And you might lack confidence. So we don't necessarily talk about the negative feelings that you have, but by talking about creating change with confidence, we are implying that you want change and you may not feel confident.
Yeah. Because I think the word problem always makes me feel negative, but it's not always negative, because it's just, well, it might be negative to some people, but not negative to others. So I don't see any of these problems the clients have as negative. Because I'm finding solutions for them. So I think it's just it's time to turn it around, so it's always positive. Because in some of the more texts we've spoken about, the client might be feeling a mixture of excitement but also overwhelmed, because they're like, we want to do something but we're not quite sure, and we've seen all these ideas in magazines, and we've heard that planning's difficult, and where are we going to find a contractor? And so it's all these problems, but to me they're not problems. So it's quite difficult to think, what is a problem? What is your client problems? That you're solving.
And actually, we don't ever really say to the client, you've got problems. We just talk about, so we've got our list of problems that we know we're addressing. We talk about the positive outcome we can create for the customer. So it used to be very popular to use scare tactics in marketing and negativity. It's not so fashionable anymore, and for good reason. Because it is a technique that works to scare people and talk about problems that are really serious, because emotion works branding to trigger behaviors, and it doesn't actually matter whether it's negative emotion or positive emotion that we're triggering. It has the same effect. People pay more attention when they're feeling emotion, and they're more likely to remember what you said when you're feeling emotion. But what you've got to think is, how do you want to position your brand? Do you want to be thought of as a brand that is scaring people into working with you? Or do you want to be thought of as a brand that is really positive and inspiring and has got a great answer for the customer? Yeah. So, you know, it's a choice. And we do still today see brands, and it's very common in the insurance market and things like that, where they scare us into worst case scenario. The government's main tactic is getting us to behave ourselves by scaring us. Yeah. COVID was the perfect example of that. Can you imagine how much I was screaming at the television throughout lockdown? Yeah, they did really, really well in the beginning at consistency. They had a good advisor who said consistency is key, one clear message, stay at home. Yeah, we all went, oh my God, we're gonna die, we need to stay at home. Oh my God, right, they made us feel emotion, they made us scared, we did it, right? We went a bit off track after that. And they started switching up the message.
Yeah. Oh, well, you don't have to stay at home because you're such and such. You don't want to do this. It just can be so confusing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was this yellow and red thing appeared on the front of the lectern, and there was a different message every week on there. Scotland said something different to Wales, to England. And it was all over the shop. And we were like, oh, do you know what? I'm not staying at home anymore. Come on. Let's just get out there again. So that was a fascinating psychological exercise that I watched unfold there. So anyway, yeah, so governments like to use that tactic, and it is common in the health sector as well to use scare tactics, you know, to like anti-smoking campaigns and anti-drinking campaigns, things where they really need quick action to take place. And actually, maybe it's worth it in the health sector because the outcome is you're saving people's lives. Yeah. And if you need to scare people to make them change their behaviors for their own benefit, arguably that's worth it. Yeah. And if you find it more effective, but perhaps that's not relevant to your sector. So, okay. So why do we talk about that? The transformation. So the key thing is helping the customer imagine before it's happened how it's going to feel if they work with you or come to your place or have your treatment or whatever it is. Yeah, how's it going to feel at the end of that? Because they haven't had it, they can't imagine it. We're not very good at imagining stuff. Paint that picture for them and make those your key messages. Okay, and then what do I do to become your customer? Yeah, so what is the main way you want people to take action? And that'll be different. You'll maybe have multiple 3 steps to action. So on your Instagram page, maybe it's going to be head to my link tree, click on, you know, book, or click on download the free guide, or, you know, whatever the action is going to be. On your website, it might be head to the booking page, check out our latest events, book yourself on the next one, or whatever, you know. So give them ways to know what to do next and ask. So the amount of websites I go to, and there's lots of information, you can find out lots about that business, and then I have to scrabble around trying to find out how to get in touch with that person, and nowhere do they say next steps, come and book. You know, our next event is here front and center on the website. In your case, Helen, you should have a bit on the front of your website. Have you got that on your website?
No, our booking platform changed, and I haven't updated the website since the booking platform. So we used to, but that is on my priority list. So I was waiting to get term 1 done, and then I've got my branding stuff sorted to implement that into the new website. Well, it's not a new website, just tweaking the existing website.
Yeah. So on the new website, on the front page, a banner or a block that says next event, pet the goats at Byers Farm, 29th of November, or whatever it is, right? Okay. Click. Oh, that's my action. It's not even 3 steps, it's 1 step to action. Yeah. Get that action up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right front and center. If you go to my website, you cannot fail to get off the front page without clicking a button. Make the buttons bright. Yeah.
I've got, and my compromise is I've got a big book now button that is on every page.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. It's
that's perfect. Yeah. And then get people to test the customer journey. I did that recently and I failed absolutely miserably. It was my new website, and unfortunately I opened Do One Thing, all the Do One Thing buttons were there, and you couldn't get off the homepage without clicking on Do One Thing. And then I closed Do One Thing and I got on with Do One Thing and I forgot about the website. And then I said, oh, go on my website and have a look. And she was like, where's the sign up button? And I was like, oh my God. So it's easily done. And I came straight home, straight on the phone to my website designer. And I was like, oh my God, put 6 more sign up buttons on my website, please. So it's very, very easily done. It's something you do need to keep checking on, especially in your industry, Helen, and it could also be true for you, Catherine, where, you know, things change and you've got events on, or you've got a special offer on, or, you know, there's something happening. It's like, have I changed that? You know, you need a kind of process to make sure that you keep up to date with that. Yeah. Okay. So that was the transformation and I guess the steps to transformation and the call to action. So I guess the key takeaway for that is, yeah, put those messages right up front, helping people imagine what it is they're going to get, as well as being able to see animals or see a lovely building. How are they going to feel in this process? How do they do it? How do they get in touch now? Because I'm feeling excited. I want to press a button. Where's the button? Make sure it's there. That's really key for you as you develop your website, Susan. Okay. And check you've done this in your tone of voice, obviously, as well. And you will see your bookings increase when you do that, because people fall away. People just give up so easily on things. Yeah. And they fall away without trying too hard, and they move on to the next thing. So make it super easy for them just to accidentally click. Friday night is probably a peak.
I had another Money Business Women member saying to me, I can't find any images of your work online. And I was like, well, that's because there isn't any. So I just scrambled out and put a couple of images on a PDF sheet.
Yeah.
Which was fine, but you know, I really need to get going with this.
Yeah.
Because it's you know, creating a barrier before we've even started.
That's right. That's right. So the first thing I want to do is check you out and then get in touch, or, you know what the free stuff is or whatever. So yeah. I was in a meeting. I went to an event the other day, and a lady I never met before walked in, and she went, hi, oh yeah, hi, it's nice to see you, blah, blah, blah. And then she went, oh, we haven't actually met before, but I've been looking at your website. And she thought that she knew who I was. She thought that we've met before, because I think you probably noticed by now I've plastered the internet with pictures of myself. And so she thought that we'd met. And so I was like, great, that's brilliant, it's working. Thank you for that. So just basically, I don't know why I told you that, but it's to do with your images of your work. Yeah, so make people familiar with you and your work before the point when they actually are in the experience. Yeah, bring that.
Maybe had the recommendation, but they still want to feel that, you know, confident before they're, you know, pressing the green button. But also I like to have that first meeting so you can get to talk, you know, personally, face to face, so you get actually to get a feeling of, could you work with this person? Because it might all sound great what you're reading on the screen, but you know, we've all got different personalities, and you know, I could be hiding behind this image of something that I'm not. So I think it's just the way you portray yourself in life as opposed to what they're seeing on the screen.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
And it's the same as you say with the consistency.
Yeah. So I'm back to screen sharing again, just to reassure that we are nearly finished, because we've only got a couple of minutes left to go, and I don't want to keep you being blabbing on. But the last thing that we did last week before the break was getting your message out there. So once you've decided what your message is, it's time to think about where to put those messages. And so I've provided you with a handy checklist that has, it's not an infinite checklist. It's, there are more ideas, so there's space at the end for you to record your ideas, but as many places as I could think of where you might need to put your message. And the job now is just, once you've decided on your message, to go around checking, have I put that message in as many places as possible? And then you'll start to get a bit of consistency and repetition going. So have a look at that checklist, and then just over time, if you can make a little bit of time, each one maybe only takes, 5-10 minutes, or maybe it takes a few days to organize, because if it might be printed material, something like that, then obviously you need to go through a review process. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't start reprinting things and creating new things if you don't have to. Obviously, we need to think of the environment and sustainability. Use what you've got. Always in marketing, use what you've got. It's not brain surgery. There's no urgency about any of this. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So always use the resources that you've already created up first before you start to put new things out into the world, and you will get there eventually with your consistency. It's an ongoing process. It's a daily process. It's a weekly, monthly, yearly process. Okay, but get your message out there, not only in the printed and visual form, but also get it out there as a spoken word. So elevator pitch, we worked on the elevator pitch. It's easy peasy, really. You've heard my elevator pitch many times before, but I just say, hi, I'm Ailsa from B is for Brand, and I help small businesses to achieve brand clarity. And I call that the ABCs of branding. I help them to get really clear about what their brand is and how to build a strong brand that will help them grow their business. Yeah, that's how I explain what my business is. And I say the same thing, more or less, every single time. Yeah, so you just need to work out, what is it you say every single time when someone asks you, what is your business? Yeah, what do you do, Helen? What do you do, Susan? What do you do, Catherine? What do you do, everyone else watching the video? What do you do? How do you explain that really clearly in terms of who it's for and what change does it make in their lives? So I'm about clarity. I help people get clear about their branding. Okay, and that helps them to create a strong brand and build their business, which is the problem they want to solve. They want to grow their business. Okay, so what is your problem? And create an elevator pitch so that you can always introduce yourself at events. And it doesn't matter, tell everyone, because there's mass marketing and niche, and you need a bit of both. You need to tell everybody you meet the same thing, because you want them to remember that. And the next time that they meet someone who has that problem that you can solve, you want them to use your words to tell that other person. That's why you do this. Okay. And the last thing I wanted you to do at the end of last term was book yourself on a networking event. Has anyone done that yet?
No, but I'm actually chairing something at the Agri-Tourism Conference, which is way out with my comfort zone.
Okay.
So I kind of thought that was major networking.
Yeah. Even though that's in your sphere of operation, I'll let you off with that. But I want you to go to something local where these teacher mums are, Helen.
Yeah, I'm going to find something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Susan?
No, I haven't booked anything new.
Yeah.
I've booked, well, I was obviously at the Money Businesswoman thing last week.
Doesn't count.
I know. But that was pre-booked anyway. So I have to have a think about how I'm going to do that.
Yeah. It can be an online event as well as an offline event, just where our customer's going to be. I posted that Circle Networks thing. That's worth a look. You can go to that for free for the first couple of weeks. So that might be worth a look for you.
I've been invited to the BNI on the 11th of November, but I haven't decided if I'm going to go yet.
Okay.
I'm not really into it, but I might just give it a shot.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, Susan, you should go to Helen's agricultural tourism event, because guess what? Farmers who are diversifying have old buildings that need new life breathed into them in a creative and inventive way that's going to push them out of their farmer comfort zone. Sorry?
Helen's sister's an architect.
No, she's not going. All
right, well, hook me in there.
December in Perth.
When?
6th and 7th of December at Perth Concert Hall.
Okay.
I can send you a link, Susan.
Yeah,
it's a
do that,
2-day
please.
there's a dinner at the night, and yeah, it should be fun.
Okay.
There we
But
go.
the agri-tourism link in general, Susan, would be a good one.
That would be useful. Yeah.
Everyone's building holiday houses and converting sheds and stuff.
Yeah.
Because actually, Susan, haven't you've had interest from people in that sector in this group, haven't you? So
yeah,
we know that that's of interest to that customer group. Yeah,
I've got that meeting set up, so
great.
I've progressed that.
Yeah, Catherine, have you thought of anything you could attend?
Not yet, but I am stepping outside of my comfort zone, and I'm actually holding a workshop this month.
Oh, well done.
But my first one, I have got a few planned. I just need to analyze details.
Yeah. What's the workshop? Tell us about it, because people watching this video might be interested.
I am doing an aromatherapy workshop at Greenbrae.
Brilliant.
You'll be able to make 3 different products that you can either keep for yourself or use for Christmas gifts.
Make products? Wait a minute. More. Come on. Tell us about this.
I'm a qualified aromatherapist, and I love aromatherapy. So you'll be able to make a roller ball. So it's like 10 mils of oil with essential oils. You can do uplifting, relaxing. It's like the sky's the limit. And I'll guide you to pick like different oils. So you can make your own blend. Everybody could end up with different blends the whole night. You can make a 50 ml bath oil and 100 ml massage and body oil.
I love it.
And they're all organic.
I didn't know about this. I'm coming. Okay.
She's just emailed me. She's going to pop it out today.
Okay.
Can I just...
Pardon?
Have you got a date for that?
23rd of November.
Perfect. Can I suggest to you that you perhaps think about reaching out to the happiness coach?
I met her at Greenbrae, yes.
Yeah, okay, because I think her target market would be very similar to yours, and maybe she could help you by sharing your posts, or if you do stories about it. Yeah, if you do a post or a story or anything like that, Catherine, please put it in the Facebook group that you've done it, and ask us to go and share things like that, because my target market also might be interested in that as well. And there are several others in the group who could share that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. Right, it's 12:32 and we have got through 8 weeks of doing one thing. How are you feeling? I'll stop sharing now. I think I've finished my slides.
I think that was good, because it was precise over the weeks, what were the essentials. So for people that are lagging behind, could just like focus and say, right, Ailsa said you're best doing the letter to yourself that week, and looking at your big goal for that week. And so I think that helps, rather than having to think, I've got, how many emails did you say? 40
emails. And I'm not brief either, I'm afraid. so I've done some.
I think that would, and then they could say, and then you gave us the guide of where things were. So, again, if you're saying, right, you need to do that worksheet, so then you can zoom in which day that was, and check that email, rather than plowing through whatever many. So it was good. It was focused for me.
Great. So I have taken on board feedback, and I know I'm not brief, and I'm still not brief in the new term, but what I have done is a short bit at the front, and then there's a line that you don't need to read below the line. Okay, so you'll be able to, I'm trying to encourage the open rate to go up. So you'll be able to open the email and scan the first few sentences and go, I know what the task is, right, I'm off to do it. Yeah.
I like the long emails when I've got time to read them. So when I sit down to do the task, I quite like the long email, but having the task at the top's good. So when you go back, you can find it. But my suggestion was yesterday, I was trying to catch up and I felt like I had hundreds of documents open, because I was opening one and then I've come back to the email. if it was in like a workbook form, so it was just one PDF that you opened with the task for each day at the top.
Yeah.
So when you go to catch up, it's easier.
Yeah.
That would be.
I saw that comment and I was like, yes, that's what I need to do. Thank you, Helen. So yeah, I will collate all of the worksheets into a workbook going forward for the next, well, it's not going to be for the next launch, but for the future. It's in my brand priorities. Create a workbook, not just worksheets. Yeah, so I'm at the beginning stages of learning how to create resources. But yeah, it was easier for me to do worksheets to start off with, but I will create a workbook because it's going to be easier for the customer. So yeah.
Just lots of files. I like printing it and having it in my nice little folder. And yeah. Do they print out all right? Because I haven't printed anything out. Yeah, that's like 20.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Yeah. Perfect. So that was amazing feedback. Thanks very much. So yeah, so next term, starting on Monday, just say there might be a few new people in, there might be a few people missing, but because unfortunately you have to ask everybody to register again. So we'll just see what happens with that. A letter's coming out today, an email's coming out today about that, just to give you the instructions. I'm just waiting for the go ahead from the behind the scenes team to tell me that everything's in place and I can actually confidently say you can go and register again. So apologies for that. So thanks for bearing with me.
Ailsa, how do you want the last month's payment? Because we're a month behind, aren't we?
Yeah, so we're going to make it start from today for 11 payments. So it'll run on for a month longer. It was just the easiest way to do it. And if anyone that's paid me sees and you already paid me, you'll get a refund because it was only a handful of people. So I'll give you that money back. And then that's how we'll deal with that. So it'll just go on 1 month longer. Okay, so apologies for that. And yeah, that's why you run found a member cohorts, isn't it?
These things happen. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks very much for joining me today.
No, thank you. It was good.
I'm gonna stop the recording now. Here we go. Goodbye.